Hey guys, my name is Ryan,
And my name is Miska.
and welcome to Overwatch Central. So we figured whilst we were here out at Gamescom that we'd do a form of Q&A going over the stuff that was revealed. We're doing it from where we've stayed over the week on a beautiful boat.
Yep.
So we kind of wanted to, I don't know, just have a bit more of a different video than us sitting in an office somewhere and kind of going over questions. But these are to do with the announcements, the game as a whole, and also stuff to do with Gamescom, games that we played and stuff. And we're going to get straight into it.
Yeah. Okay, let's get started. iStucks with the first question. How many characters in Overwatch is too much? Do you feel a couple of years from now the characters might become diluted and too similar in their roles? Or do you think more characters will only add more complexity and with extra variety in the meta, etc.? It's a pretty big question. I think it's one that everybody's kind of asked themselves at some point. But overall, I really want to see more characters in Overwatch because I feel like part of it is really what holds the game back in some ways. They say, like, the developers and the community always say, we want a lot of different options in a meta. You don't want 3 different comps you can run and that's pretty much it. And that's only going to happen really with more characters, in my opinion. I think in terms of them being diluted or too similar to each other, I don't really feel like Blizzard can go too wrong because there's a lot of character concepts that don't involve loads of mobility like Wrecking Ball and Doomfist that I feel like would still be fine and very interesting to see. There's a lot to borrow and learn from other games, so I want more heroes for sure. Just way more. Many more.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add on to that is I'd like to see them more in a year. I remember Showforce said in an interview if he was Jeff Kaplan, he would add a hero a month. And he feels that like it's kind of that MOBA-esque feeling of whilst you do have characters that have similar traits and similarities, we have that already. McCree and Soldier 76 are both very similar in what they do, so it doesn't matter too much. You could still play McCree, you could still play Soldier in different situations, and that's great. So I'd like to see more heroes on a yearly basis, more than 3, maybe 4, I think is a good amount. I think that's something that Blizzard could do in the future, but right now, yeah, it's just a case of more heroes would be great. I can't fault that at all.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next up is a question from Twitter, and the question is, what do you think of the Summer Games criticism? Now, this was something that I think everyone kind of went over a little bit. A lot of it was on Reddit, I think just because it's a pretty natural place for discussion like that. But I would definitely say that there's a lot of valid points to the fact that we basically have nearly the same thing 3 years in a row just with new skins. And if the big events and the big content updates in Overwatch is basically just cosmetic updates, because there's not been much for gameplay, you know, Lucy Ball has been the same and all, then I feel like there should be more weight to that for sure. I think Blizzard can start changing more like in that direction, and that content updates can become more than just sort of like the same event and then more skins, new skins. I really want to see more of that. I feel like maybe, you know, they will see this type of feedback and then slowly start changing and adapting a little bit, because I think it was pretty loud and clear that people weren't happy with just having Lucy Ball again, essentially. So, yeah.
I think the main thing is the main reason why these events exist is to get people to go into the game or to spend money. And when you have the same game mode that you've had for the last 3 years with very little change, it's Lucy Ball, oh okay, and all of the skins have basically been revealed on Twitter during the week, there's very little reason to log in, so it kind of is a bit counterintuitive for Blizzard to post out the skins on a daily basis up until the event, and then having the same event, there's no reason to log in really. You still have people queuing up, but that's what Blizzard want, all the people to go into game to check out the skins. But if there's no new content because they've revealed it all early or it's been used before, then what is the point of an event? So yeah, I'd like to see a bit more change in adaptation. Doesn't need to be much, does it really? Just something that keeps people on their toes. Next question came from Josh on Twitter, basically asking the current state of Mercy. There was a joke that Jeff Kaplan made when he was in Korea that somebody asked, please stop nerfing Mercy, and he was like, I think we're done now. And I think that's basically the general consensus of people, including myself. I've always been anti-resurrect with Mercy, not because I hate the hero and I don't think it's an ability that suits her. It's more, I'd like to see cooler stuff in place for an ability that, you know, splits the community, right? It's like, we'll just get rid of it then, but we'll give Mercy this other amazing ability that is really cool and can do a lot of stuff. So I think Mercy's in a pretty good position right now. She's still the strongest hero, easiest hero to get working in certain compositions. I think that's why Mercy is really popular, because when you have people playing Mei or Torbjorn or Dive or Triple Tank, Mercy's never going to be a bad pick. So with Wasps flying around us, they're like complaining about Mercy as much as anybody, but like that's how I sort of feel about the hero. I really like her. I really enjoy playing her. I hate the negative aspect that players get for playing her, but I think it's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think the whole thing with like nerfing Mercy more or not, I think it kind of comes back to adding that more heroes and just having other main healers be more viable. Moira definitely was almost just as viable as Mercy to some degree, at least from a sort of perception standpoint of the community. But yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. Next up is also on Twitter from @JohnnyTux asking what did we think of the D.Va cinematic and just how did it compare to the other shorts. I guess the also just function that it filled, that it wasn't quite lore, like just new lore development, but rather like a bit of character development and a bit of a sort of side story, a bit more meat to the all the facts in the past of D.Va, because we've had the whole Michael True thing with like, oh, she's not really a professional StarCraft player, she's a professional video gamer. What has she done in the past? What was her life like? What does that world look like? And now we have a lot of insight into that all of a sudden with the new map, with that cinematic and all of that stuff. So I think, yeah, it's more of a development on D.Va's part, and it works very well together with the Korean Fan Fest and all that stuff, which I'm not sure if they planned. It might just have worked out that way, honestly. But point is that I think it was an enjoyable cinematic, but much like a lot of other people have expressed, I do want some sort of lore development, because I think that's yet another one of those things where Blizzard don't just have to release a cinematic and have it just be completely unrelated to the game. In World of Warcraft, for example, or even in some other Blizzard games, there will be cinematics that are part of the game and are very relevant to the game story-wise, but they also introduce a new theme that sort of changes the whole game. And I remember having some speculation about that forever ago, that there would be an Omni Crisis 2 type of cinematic at BlizzCon, and they would retheme the game a little bit and add more skins and some new mode, maybe something like that. And I would love to see cinematics be paired with being more related to the game rather than just adding previous background lore. And so I'm just hoping for new content and meat in the game to be related to any new cinematic. But D.Va cinematic as in itself was enjoyable, just wanted more out of it for sure.
I think there's not really much to add on to that. Like, I wholeheartedly agree. I like the character development. I'd like more lore. What you said about the Omnic Crisis 2.0, one of the leaks or 4chan sort of things that came up was each of the heroes will have to pick a side between Overwatch and Talon. And certainly after the launch of something like Battle for Azeroth, where everybody's really enticed and, the Horde or Alliance kind of thing, I think something like that in Overwatch would be really good to really tie in the lore to the actual game. Because right now it's two very different areas. You have players that care a lot about the lore, not necessarily the competitive side, but vice versa, right? So being able to string those communities together will make the Overwatch community as a whole a lot stronger. So there's lots of issues that Blizzard have, and I feel like this is one of them. I'd like to see some story-driven stuff eventually.
Speaking of problems and stuff, next question from @LoriPeltola on Twitter. What is Overwatch's biggest problem at the moment? This is such a hard question. I want to try and keep my answers short because I feel like this can go on for forever. Not because there's loads of really bad problems, but they really do add up in a way. And I think the main problem that I have with Overwatch as a whole is just structure. Compared to a lot of other games, there's very little structure, and there's kind of, there is the objective, but the best way to work around the objective and how to work with that and sort of, just general how to play the game, I feel like it's very convoluted, and a lot of people have very different ideas of how the game should be played and what the structure of it is like, and what sort of building, for example, a team comp is like, and how that should work. And I think there's a lot of interesting structure that could be added there that exists in a lot of other games, but it's kind of a free-for-all in Overwatch in a way. And especially with the fact that in Overwatch, much like, not in very different from MOBAs and so on, you can have the same heroes on two teams, which means there's a lot of mirror comps and all that sort of stuff. And those are the sort of things that in Overwatch you can't really, just completely ignore that right now, because there's just not enough heroes in the game to support that type of play. But there's a lot of those things in Overwatch that I feel like really moves away from having any sort of structure to it and creates this Wild West that means that we have a lot of different experiences, some great, some not so great. And I think that's it. The lack of structure is kind of a big problem in my eyes, but yeah, there's a lot of smaller ones in there as well that kind of add to that for sure.
I think the disparity between a competitive audience and the more one that's interested in the game, doesn't really play it anymore, likes the story, has all of the D.Va merch and stuff. I think it's a strong community, and it's nice to make content, both that is in a competitive sense, going over the Overwatch League, whilst also going over stuff like new skins and new events. So, like, there's a lot of different problems. I don't think there's any big ones anymore. Like, Mercy isn't an issue, toxicity's going down. There's a lot of stuff in game to help you get around how much of a wasteland Overwatch competitive can be. I guess my biggest problem is how much people can really reject, I suppose, something like a meta when playing competitively. It's not because for me it's like playing optimally instead of playing what's good so I can win. I want to make sure that everybody's playing the best that they can in strategies and changing it up and seeing what works. And when you have players on your team that don't do that, that can really like throw me off and get me frustrated and playing a game, especially in a competitive manner, right? So like that's my biggest problem with it, but there's plenty of others, and I'm sure you guys have loads yourselves, so do put them in the comments below. Be interested to see overall what people are saying is their biggest problem.
I feel like there's going to be a pretty good mix of what people tend to highlight there, but yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. Macappa asks, if you could cosplay a character, who would it be? Oh, this is such a difficult question. There's no like receding hairline heroes in the game as yet. I'd probably go for something ridiculous like D.Va. I think I'd go for like
D.Va,
a sort of like like a sort of like female like full jumpsuit kind of thing. Get a wig, get the makeup. I'd be like full drag. Well, not really. It's not even drag really, but like the full like dress in that fashion. I think if you're gonna go like that, you gotta go ham, right?
I would probably want to do something like Lucio, but I don't think I could pull it off. I would rather just do like probably a really good Soldier 76 cosplay would be really cool. Like I've seen some that have like some Overwatch cosplays that have like proper lighting and stuff in their like suits and so on, and that looks really cool. I think a really cool Soldier 76 cosplay could be pretty sick. But I don't know much about cosplay, and I don't know. It would be so difficult for me to go about that.
I have a good one, Maximilian.
Ooh. Oh, I like that. I don't.
Just the suit.
Yeah,
and the mask.
just the suit and the mask. Yeah, that's a simple one. Okay, I could see that. Yeah. All right. Next up from the YouTube comments, Pratius asks, "Do you think Koth was the right kind of map for Overwatch at this point?" And honestly, I would go with yes, because I feel like some of the Koth maps are really good. A lot of people really like them, especially Legion and Tower, super popular map just after King's Row in popularity, and we kind of played these Koth maps to death. We played them so much. And I do feel like having a new one is definitely interesting. There's some interesting stuff, like for example in the Mecha like HQ or whatever, you have the walls that slide up and down around the objective. Now that's something we haven't really seen much, like anything like that before really. So I'm interested in seeing how that plays out exactly, and how the different design choices they have made play out, and what people actually think of it when you've played it like 20 times. But I think, yeah, it definitely is the right way to go, in my opinion. I like the look of the map as well overall, but yeah, I like it. I think it's good.
Suits the theme, really. What I've also noticed as well is you have Lijiang Tower, you have Nepal, and now you have Busan. Like a lot, like Asia's controlling the market for like control maps.
Yeah, true.
Which I think is, it's kind of like Oasis too, if you're sort of counting the Middle East. I think it's the sort of perfect map. The last one we had was Oasis back in January last year.
Yeah.
It's a game that I think people really enjoy and really like. It's very competitive, and the other map type that I guess we could have got would have been 2CP. So I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, I'll take the control map there for sure. Okay.
Ella asks, should I buy Spoody Man or did you guys play it? We played a lot of stuff and we kind of wanted to go over it. Spider-Man, definitely buy it.
Quick thoughts on Gamescom as a whole. Your top 2 or 3 games. What do you think? Go.
Kingdom Hearts 3, it's nice to actually see it in person. It plays really well. Spider-Man felt great. It was like Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2 but fleshed out. Hopefully there's pizza missions with the music. Sekiro was a game that surprised me. Sekiro even.
Yeah, for sure.
And the Walking Dead game was pretty good. I'm trying to think of everything else. Battlefield was, it was okay. Yeah.
But those are some good top games though to pick for sure.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with Sekiro. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is very much like Dark Souls, but remove the clunkiness, and it's kind of, all of a sudden you can grab more of a wider audience with that. So if you try Dark Souls and you're like, I just don't like the way it feels when you play it, Sekiro can probably be a very good game to pick up. I'm definitely going to be playing it for sure. It was the sort of game I wanted to go back to and play again at Gamescom, so you really want to play that for sure. Spider-Man, great, love that. Been hyped for it because me and my brother used to play the old Spider-Man games a lot. The one for GameCube, I think that was Spider-Man 2 as well. And yeah, really hyped for this one. It just feels great. It's everything you want it to be. And finally as well, Bad Blood. Dying Light Bad Blood, the Battle Royale sort of thing. It's like 12 players, Battle Royale, in the sort of Dying Light universe. Everything you expect it to be in terms of Dying Light. There's some zombies and stuff, some objectives related to that. It's fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing more about that when that sort of comes out and it's a bit more fleshed out as well. But yeah, those games were really solid for sure. Won't include Overwatch today just because it's not a new game, but it was fun to stop by the Overwatch booth. It's always fun to be in the Blizzard area of events we go to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all for Gamescom for us. And yeah, we wanted to get this Q&A in there as well because, well, we thought it was a good opportunity from this beautiful boat. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, something a little different. Thanks for watching. If you do have any questions that you want to ask in a future update, we'll be on a boat, fortunately, but do let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, all of the support and stuff whilst we've been out here. It's been great, and I feel like there's going to be lots of content to come through now that Blizzard have kind of gone through their quiet period, released stuff, and now they're going to implement a lot more balance changes. But thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you next time.